Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.
Comes the blue line. Komets get it out of the zone. We got 5 seconds left. Here is Murray on a breakaway coming. He shoots. He scores. 6-1 with 1.1 second to go.
Way to put an exclamation point on an outstanding game.
Every Komets fan enjoyed that. a little dagger.
That's right. A little twist.
Yeah. He is Shane Albahrani. I'm Glenn Marini. This is Komets Corner, and obviously we got a lot to talk about because we got a series, folks, with these Toledo Walleye games 1 and 2 this past weekend in Toledo, Friday, Saturday. Of course, if you're watching the show, you probably know that they're split. And then it means game 1, the next 3 games right here in the Summit City. So stealing one in Toledo means the Komets could close out conceivably this series on home ice this week.
Yeah, the beauty of the 2-3-2 format. You go on the road, you get a split. Now you do have a chance to maybe win the series here. And I'll tell you what, that's probably that's what they're wishing for. That's the expectation here because you've stolen home ice advantage. You got 3 games at home. You don't want to go back to Toledo because hey, anything can happen in that barn as we've seen throughout the years. So, let's just kind of take care of business. But it all starts tonight here with game number 3.
What has impressed you about these 2 games? Josh and I made the drive over on Friday night. They had a chance to win that game. I mean, it wasn't, and then they blew them out 6-1. What have you seen that's impressed you about this Komets team that has you thinking, okay, this is a series that's not only winnable, but they really can do this and do it on home ice?
Yeah, no, to go into Toledo and beat them 6-1 was absolutely crazy. Like you said, they had a chance to win Friday night, and really they should have. But a couple defensive laxes that happened in the Iowa series, and it just cost them that 1 goal late in the second period. Turned out to be the game winner. But they had chances to tie it up in the third, but didn't do it. But they learned a lot about Toledo because it's like, all right, it's kind of like the first time around through a lineup. It's like, all right, you've seen everybody. You've seen what they can do. All right, let's go out and make our adjustments and take it to them the next night. And I just love the fact that they, Toledo basically tried to win a 7-game series in 1 game. I mean, they went and they emptied the tank there that first night, and the Komets matched them shot for shot, and 1 bounce here, 1 bounce there. The Komets have a 2-0 lead, but hey, you came out the next night, you responded, and I don't think anyone can be happier.
I want to ask you one question before we get into the Friday night highlights. Goaltending. We've had 2 games. We've seen 4 goaltenders. Each team has played 2 goalies. So where are we at with the Komets goaltending? Where do you expect Toledo to be? Because Bednar played pretty well on Friday night, at least at times. Gylander, not quite the night he would have liked to have on Saturday. What do we see from Brochu and Day, and then from the Toledo goaltending situation?
Yeah, Toledo, they've been platooning all season, so I don't see them going away from that. So so I would expect Bednar back in there. He played a little bit better than Gylander, but he gave up that 1 really soft goal to Albahrani, right past the blue line, and one that he should have had. Another one where it was right in front of the net. He went for the poke check, but Ethan Keppen just dragged it around him and stuffed it home. So for the Komets, I would expect to go back to Brett Brochu. That kid he needed a break. I mean, I think just mentally and physically, between playing all the games here at the Komets and then going up to Bakersfield and traveling back and forth, he looked fatigued in that series against Iowa. So I think he needed a mental break, and I think having those games off really helped him out because he came out in game number 2, and that was the Brett Brochu that we know.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the highlights from Friday night. The Komets, of course, it was kind of a rest versus momentum in this series because heading into this one, having swept Indy, Toledo hadn't played since April 22nd. Meanwhile, the Komets played a Game 7 on Tuesday night in the Jungle. So a little bit of a quicker turnaround for the K's, but sometimes that momentum works in your favor. And I got to say, it hasn't been very often. It's only been twice in the first 8 games of this playoffs that the Komets scored first.
Yeah, and they did both the games 1 and 2, so that was fantastic to get off that good start. But Toledo, they came out rested, and let's face it, they haven't been tested in these playoffs. I mean, they blew out Indy, and I think they came in maybe thinking, well, we're going to keep on doing because they won Game 1 here. They've won 5 straight now in the playoffs, and they came out, and the Komets just went out and absolutely blitzed them there in Game 2. But I think going to that Game 7, I think that helped the Komets out a lot because I think when that happens to teams, it's a kick in the pants. I mean, take last night, Winnipeg and St. Louis. I mean, Winnipeg should have won that series going away, but they took 7 games, took double overtime, and to win it. So it'll be interesting to see what that does for them, propelling them. And I think that did a lot for the Komets having to go to that Game 7.
Yeah, and taking a look, you just saw Alex Albahrani score. If you had a short list of most valuable players so far in the postseason for the Komets, he would be on that short list.
Yeah, Alex Albahrani. I mean, we brought him to Fort Wayne for a reason because he is battle tested. He has won a championship in the ECHL. He's won them in Europe. He's got a different gear in the postseason. He scored a very big goal for Florida against Toledo in the Cup final a few years ago. So he knows what it's all about. He knows what this rivalry is about. But also Ethan Keppen and Alex Swetlikoff. I mean, those guys have just been double trouble. And then you throw Zach Jordan in there as well. I mean, this is a really good-looking Komet lineup. And the way they played Saturday night, I mean, absolute shutdown defense. We've talked about, the laxes in defense, but I'll tell you what, that Saturday night, that was absolutely a clinic they put on.
Yeah, and it seems like, you've got Swetlikoff, Jordan, and Keppen playing together in that line. And then you throw Mayhew out there on the defensive side of things. That's a pretty good offensive unit.
Yeah, and then you throw in Darren Brady, who I think right now is the best shutdown defenseman in this tournament. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic, I thought, on Saturday night. As soon as one of their wingers entered the zone, I mean, Darren Brady is on top of them. I mean, it's like split second. So it's like they could not do anything. They're obviously a very skilled team. They're a very fast team, and they haven't seen anything like this all season.
So when you take a look at going into that third period on Friday night, Komets, they gave up a couple of late goals to Toledo in the second, but they had their opportunities. Hawkins takes a penalty late, gives you a power play. I mean, they were playing fast and furious. They just couldn't find the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again one of those things where, you know what, hey, that's on us. You know what, we didn't have any power plays throughout the night, but we got one when we needed it, and like with 2.5 minutes left, and you pull your goaltender for a minute, you had basically a two-man advantage there. You're unable to score it. Well, that's on you. So they took that. I mean, I don't think obviously they weren't down about the loss because hey, they're like, we went into the Huntington Center, not an easy place to win. We matched them shot for shot and just didn't get that last one. So they were very confident going into Saturday night.
Yeah, what's the mentality afterwards? Because, we talked to some of the guys, and we'll hear from Alex Albahrani and Ethan Keppen in a second, but you can't hang your head because you did have the opportunity. That team was extremely rested in Toledo, and you played a pretty good brand of hockey that night.
Absolutely, yeah. They had nothing to hang their heads about. I think it was more, this is a positive because, again, we took their best shot. I mean, they were trying to knock us out, and we were there just standing up to them time and time again. We had the lead 3 times during the game, but like you mentioned, they were rested. The Komets, maybe the legs a little bit, but, I mean, all the confidence in the world, just taking every shot that Toledo had Friday night. All
right, we did have a chance to talk to Alex Albahrani, who had a couple of goals in that game, and Ethan Keppen, who had a key goal in that game. Here's what they had to say after Game 1 on Friday night.
I mean, they create. I mean, they do a lot of D dives. Their D are very active. They got a lot of skill at the back end and, at the front end too. I mean, it's something we're aware of. We played them a lot, so it's something, we got to dial in a little bit. But, hats off to them. They came back and did a good job.
Well, you look down the roster, they got a lot of guys who can put the puck in the net. They got some high offensive guys who've been topping the leaderboard in the league in points and stuff. And when they get to the mill and shoot, they're dangerous. So tonight we let them get to the mill and be like offensive threats. So we got to find a way to keep them outside on the perimeter.
I mean, my line mates, Murray was excellent on the draws again. Grohl, hard worker. I got a couple great passes from the D, just making simple, honest plays. And, they have breakdowns off of their O-zone because they do a lot of diving. So it's something we got to take advantage of.
We were just moving the puck well and getting to the net. Of course, we got a couple net front goals tonight, and I liked how we were attacking their goalie tonight. We know he can be shaky at times, so we can't pass up any shots.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had our chances, we had our looks that we wanted, and it didn't go our way tonight. But at the end of the day, it's something we expected. It was going to be a hard-fought series, and it's gonna go deep. It's going to be hard, and we're ready for it.
I don't know if you caught it, but the Toledo fans, big Alex Albahrani fans. Big Alex Albahrani fans. So as we were talking about before we heard from the guys, this is a team that, you don't like to take a loss, but they very well could have won that Game 1.
Yeah.
And boy, they carried that momentum over into game 2.
Yeah, and also you do have it in your pocket. You got 3 games at home. You know, you got the split. You got, not the best case scenario, but hey, you got the split, and now you've got 3 games at home. So that was another reason I don't think you hang your head, because hey, we go back, we even up this series, you get the split, you're going home. But this team is it's absolutely dynamite right now. I mean, I absolutely love everything that's happening. The lines are beautiful. I mean, the defense. I mean, with Kepin and Svetlikov, you just mentioned, they're a problem. They are a problem because they are big bodies, they are big power forwards. So the guys who go to the nets, Toledo got Tyler Spezia back right before game 1, which was huge. He's a point-a-game player. He scored a goal there in game number 1. So the Komets were able to neutralize him. Brandon Hawkins, we've not heard from him.
Yeah.
Only 5 shots on goal through the first 2 games. He was a guy who had 10 points in 4 games against Indy. So I think they're a little shocked at how well the Komets are playing defensively. But this is a team that they are very opportunistic, and when you have those laxes, they score, and we saw that in game number 1. So I would expect, the Komets to come out fired up. I mean, they're on home ice. Brett Brochu is back and ready to go, and I expect a really good game tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's take a look at some of the game 2 highlights. The Komets obviously carrying some of that momentum from a pretty good showing in game 1 over to game 2, and it started again scoring. What is this? They would score first again. They only did it once against Iowa in 7 games. They've done it twice in 2 games against Toledo.
Yeah, and that goal was fantastic. I mean, Ethan Kepin took a shot to the back of the head as he was going across the blue line and managed to maintain everything. He took a shot on the goaltender, and that the puck jumped off his pad, and there was Zach Jordan just to knock it in for a tap-in. So having these 3 power forwards, I mean, we haven't had a group like this in quite some time. I mean, I likened all 3 of them back to Garrett Thompson back a few years ago when the Komets made it to the conference final. But now you got 3 guys who can go to the net. It's
big
crazy. Big bodies who aren't afraid of anything. And this team, the Komets like to hit. And that's something that Toledo, they have a little problem when you play physical with them. And everyone is out there taking a body. Noah Gansky has been integral into these first 2 games, and Tyler Inamoto as well. So, I mean, Brady and Mayhew, they're the top liners. They get the credit here. But, talk about those 2 guys, Noah Gansky and Tyler Inamoto, who go out and just smacking people around. I mean, that is intimidating when you have guys that big and that strong just knocking you off the puck.
Well, on Saturday night, Svetlikov's goal and Stefan's goal both came on the power play. They really didn't have that many opportunities on the power play in game 1. They really capitalized on the opportunities that they had on the power play in game 2.
The Komets lose Odin Tufto, unfortunately. He was a big part of the power play, but James Stefan, they have now fashioned their power play around this kid, because Stefan has got a wicked shot, and all those goals that Odin Tufto scored in the first half of the season, right there on the dot. I mean, they try to get separation. They isolate Stefan to make him wide open. Look at this right there. I mean, he's wide open. You move the puck around to get him to where he needs to be, and that's where Odin was scoring from. And now you got James Stefan picking up right where he left off.
Obviously got his talent from his mom.
Sure he
I
did.
think any hockey fan knows that. But this was a game. It was more even in the first period, but man, the second period they took over, and the third period was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, the third period I think turned into a clinic, because it was still 3-1 going into the third. So you're nervous. I hate those 2 goals lead, and the 3-1 also just scares me to death. So I certainly was not comfortable at all.
Fair.
But then we had a power play, and when Alex Svetlikov just tapped it in, there a few seconds into it, I'm like, all right, now I'm feeling comfortable at 4-1. And the Komets didn't let up. They got another power play goal, and then just the icing on the cake with Murray getting that breakaway goal with 1 second left.
We're seeing Brett Brochu. What was the difference in the Brochu that we saw in Iowa and the Brochu we saw on Saturday night, where he stops 21 and 22 and looked really good?
Well, he looked well rested. I think a lot of those goals he gave up in Iowa were fatigue-based, mentally and physically, but he was dialed in. I mean, that was the Brett Brochu who's challenging shooters. He's controlling rebounds. If someone's going to come in and crowd him, he's going to give him a little poke. I mean, he's not afraid of contact like some goaltenders are. So he's going to stand up for himself. And, he had that fire and the attitude, and I just love Brett Brochu, and I think he's ready to go forward.
You know what's crazy is we think about Nathan Day being so young at 20 years old. Brett Brochu is only like
22.
So, we're like, oh, that old savvy vet that we saw last year and this year. Man, he's still just he's still just a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Connor Unger is only 22 years old. So, yeah, you know, the goaltending core is really young, but they've shown they're quite they're better than their years. Say it that way. You know, as Nathan Day, he's been outstanding.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Yeah, yeah. But Nathan Day, I mean, the kid comes in, wins a game 6 and 7. You know, that's crazy. You know, he performs really well in game number 1, just didn't get a bounce. But then I thought it was a smart move to go back to Brett Brochu because Nathan Day now is in that point where he needs a break. So,
yeah.
So now you have 2 goaltenders going to be well rested. So moving forward, you know, I think right now it's Brett Brochu's net, but who knows now going into games 4 and 5.
Yeah, Broch, I mean, it just feels like Broch has got his mojo back, and that's dangerous for everybody else. Let's take a look at some of the games coming up. Obviously, we've got 3 games where the K's could close it out at home. Monday, that's today, 7:35 at the Coliseum. Game 4 Wednesday, Game 5 Thursday. So you mentioned that's a pretty packed little schedule right there. So I would think the Komets do need 2 goalies playing well this week for sure. And then let's take a look at what would happen next if the series does shift back to Toledo. It would be Game 6 on Saturday and Game 7 on Monday. So that's 5 games in a week.
Yeah, it's a lot of hockey. A lot of hockey. So yeah, the guys, I think I think it works better for both teams that they did the 2-3-2. That you're not going back and forth. So you do, even if it's just a few hours, you're able to get a rest. You're not going back and forth on the bus. So I think this it really works kind of both for both teams as far as just the quality of hockey and what we're going to see this week. But the Komets can take advantage of having home ice advantage.
What are you expecting? What are you most looking forward to about Game 3 tonight at the Coliseum? Like, what's on your list of things that you're wanting to check off if you're the K's?
Just to play that defensive brand of hockey because Toledo's going to come out tonight and they are going to be, let's just say, mad. I think they're going to be pretty upset and they're going to want to come out and throw that knockout punch right away. You know, they're going to want to get a couple, 2, 3 goals right away. So I think they're going to be fast and furious. You know, the first 10 minutes, I think the first 10 minutes here tonight are going to be very telling so that the Komets can slow them down, shut them down, and then score first. I mean, you did 2 nights in a row, so that's big, you know, when you're playing against a team like Toledo.
Is there a bigger key for winning 3 games, like winning all these 3 games? If there's like one big picture thing so that you don't have to go back to Toledo, what would that be?
Again, it just comes back to defensive hockey. Now that you've got your goaltender situation, I think, kind of figured out, but it just comes down to playing defense. You know, it's the old cliche, defense wins championships. And when you take the MVP of the league and the top scorer off of the game sheet, you're doing a good thing here, you know. And but you've got guys like Sam Craggs and Trenton Bliss and Tyler Spezia. They've got a lot of firepower on this team. They're a little bit inexperienced on the back end, so I think that's where the Komets are exploiting here. And they need to come out hitting. I mean, they need to come out and just smack guys around like they did in Game 2, and I think everything's going to be okay.
As we saw in the game schedule, there's a lot of hockey played in a short amount of time. Are you well rested? For Broch and Day, is Shane Albahrani well rested? That's the question.
The voice was struggling a little bit there this weekend. You know, I've done a lot of hockey too myself the past couple of weeks, but you know what? It's playoffs, so I'll answer the bell.
Are we not going to see a playoff beard from Shane Albahrani?
Again, I can't grow one.
That's right.
I look kind of really ridiculous with one, so. I'll have one in spirit.
Well, Ali already's had that growing since 7 months, so he's got a little bit of a head start on you.
I think since 7th grade, I think Alex has been.
It's very possible. You know those hockey guys. He's Shane Albahrani. I'm Glenn Marini, and we'll see you next Monday right here on Komets Corner.
Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.